it's Chris from Out West with Chris. Today I'm out doing a little hiking. I kind of wanted to stop and chat about a knife that I got recently. Recently I picked up the CRKT Homefront, and I got this knife in a battle box shipment. And I was kind of skeptical when I first got this knife, whether or not I was going to like it, but I took about 2 weeks, and it was my EDC for about 2 weeks. And it's really grown on me. This knife has some pretty cool features, and I just want to kind of chat about those with y'all really quick. So this is the CRKT Homefront. It is a flip open style knife. It's not an assisted open. Sometimes you have to do a little flick of the wrist to get it to open how you might want. If you don't flick the wrist every now and then, it won't fully deploy. So you got to put some pressure behind it. I find that just using a little flick of the wrist makes it pretty easy to open. So the Homefront is a Ken Onion design from CRKT. The blade is a 3.5 inch long blade. The blade is made from AUS-8 Stainless steel, AUS-8, whatever you want to call it. And that type of steel actually is a pretty decent stainless. It's got some qualities that make it pretty good at retaining an edge, and makes it fairly easy to sharpen. The handle is made from aluminum, 6061 aluminum. It's got a little bit of a checked pattern on it. It is a liner lock knife, so your lock is right here. All the times that I've used it, I've never had an issue with that not engaging or it being sloppy. And as you can see, I mean, it's a really well-made knife. It does have a pocket clip, and I carry it with the pocket clip. Works fine. It's actually, for as beefy as this knife is, it's fairly low profile in your pocket, and I haven't really noticed it a lot. So that's something I like. I don't want a folder that is going to take up a ton of pocket space, and I don't want a folder that I'm going to be noticing making my riding uncomfortably or anything like that as I'm carrying it as my EDC. They say it's a World War II inspired design, and it's got the kind of the GI star right here, as you can see. It's kind of that army green look to it. The blade shape, I like the blade shape. And it's got for a pocket folder, it has a pretty decent spine on it. And overall, I've been pretty pleased with this knife. So I got an apple. I'm gonna have a little bit of a snack right now. I really like a good apple if I'm out on the trail. I don't always cut it. And one of the reasons why I don't cut my fruit a lot when I'm out on the trail is because when you cut it using a folding knife, the juices, these is all juices right here, the blade's covered them. Blade's covered with juices. When you go to fold it, that gets inside the handle. Eventually it'll work its way into the pivot area, and then you're gonna have a situation where you're gonna possibly be more prone to corrosion, and you're also gonna just gum up with dirt and dust and that type of stuff. It's just gonna wanna gum up in the pivot. So that's always been, one thing I'm aware of whenever I am using a folding knife, is how prone is it gonna be to get gunk in the pivot area, because most pocket folders, they're not super easy to take apart. Well, that's one of the cool things about the Homefront. It's extremely easy to disassemble and to clean. And when, if you're cutting fruit or slicing meat, if it's fairly raw meat, you're going to get some blood in there, right, and some just other gunk. Or if you're cleaning fish, you're going to get fish juice in that pivot point. The Homefront, one of the coolest things about it, and one of the things that originally I was kind of like, okay, that's just a novelty. It's a novelty. It's not that big of a deal. But the more I used the knife as an everyday carry knife, the more I realized, okay, that's actually really helpful, and it's pretty cool. So I'm just going to demonstrate how easy this thing disassembles for cleaning. What you do, have it folded. There's a little toggle switch right here. All you do is slide that toggle switch, okay? And then you go down here, and this is a little wheel. you unscrew this wheel, and then the knife is pretty much fully disassembled into 3 pieces for extremely easy cleaning. This also came in a recent battle box. It's the Rusty's Rags sheepskin, and then you get some oil. I'm just going to clean off the CRKT blade, the Homefront's blade, get it a little bit clean. And you can get right into that pivot now that it's not attached to the handle. This little sheepskin is really good for polishing up your knives and cleaning them, and the oil will help give it a protective barrier against corrosion. It is stainless steel, but you still want to, protect that. I'm also going to wipe down the handles on the insides, which is just slick and easy. The liner lock, you always want to make sure you get that clean as well, and the pivot area, just to make sure you don't get some corrosion sneaking up on you there. Once you're done cleaning, it's just as easy to put back together. Kind of line that up, like so. Then you're going to slide this back on. You're going to want to start threading it a little bit. Once you get it on there, you don't have to be super tight. You just go back over here to the toggle and you flip it. Now you're going to tighten that back up. And I've found one little tip about this. I've found that if you back this screw off a little bit, not a lot, a little bit, which you'll have to do occasionally if you're carrying it because it wants to naturally tighten, it makes flipping open the blade or deploying the blade really easy. I didn't even have to do a wrist flick on there. But I prefer, I've gotten into the habit of just flicking my wrist a little bit. And when I do, it just deploys naturally, really smooth deployment. So I've just kind of gotten in the habit of keeping this tight and just flipping the wrist. It does not have a thumb stud on the blade, which I kind of like. It gives you almost more working space with the blade itself. If you had a thumb stud here and you were trying to shave something, that thumb stud would be kind of getting in the way of things. So it fits really nice in the palm of my hand. It's a good size knife. You're not gonna lose it, but it's also low profile. It's not heavy at all. It weighs about 4.8 ounces. So it's a decent sturdy knife that you can EDC, not really notice, and it's still going to be able to do some work. So as I mentioned, the knife is sturdy. I'm going to just do a little bit of work with it. You can totally notch stuff with it. This wood isn't super hard, it's a little rotten. And you could do some light batoning with it too. You can use it to make kindling if you need to. This is oak, so pretty hard wood, but shaves pretty well. Make some really fine cuts with this. So it can handle the detail work, and it can handle a limited amount of heavy work as well. You know, as far as prying goes, I don't know how well it'll do, but let's go ahead and test it out a little bit. So this wood is, you know, decaying. It's not totally decayed, but it's not super hard. It's not green wood, so we got to keep that in mind. But overall, I mean, it seems pretty sturdy. You don't get a lot of flex at that hinge point, the pivot point. You get a little bit. I'm cranking on it pretty good right now. So, is this a bushcraft knife? No. Could you use it as one? Yeah, for limited use. For any really heavy duty bushcraft type stuff or survival stuff, I'm, you know, going to be an advocate of a full tang knife. It's just going to be stronger, sturdier. Typically, they're going to have a bigger spine so that you can baton with them, and you know, that type of stuff, and really be able to get into, you know, processing wood and stakes and tools and stuff like that. Do I think that this would be good in a pinch? Hell yeah. I mean, I have no problem having this as my EDC. One thing that for me is I can't really EDC in my job a full tang knife. Having a big sheath and a big knife on me, I would draw a lot of looks. My customers probably wouldn't appreciate it, but the low key, you know, EDC of having a folder like this that can actually put some work in, but also do the fine tasks, you know, a great knife, I think. So with this being my EDC knife, one thing to consider is self-defense. Like, can you defend yourself with this knife? And I think the answer is definitely yes. With pretty much any knife, you know, you can use that as a self-defense weapon. If nothing else, just deploying it and having it at the ready to show somebody, hey, you know, don't mess with me. You know, that's one tactic. So there's that aspect of using it as a defense tool, but you know, if you're really in harm's way, you're probably going to be up close to somebody, and you might need to decide to use this really quickly. You know, the fact that it doesn't have an assisted opening shouldn't be a drawback in your mind. Once you carry this knife long enough, that whole wrist flick movement is going to become really natural as a method of deploying the knife, and you won't feel the need to rely on an assisted opening. And you'll be able to draw your knife out, deploy it, and do whatever you need to do. With the whole self-defense thing in mind, one thing that I did is I took a pair of old jeans. I brought them with me, but I was kind of wondering, you know, how easily is this thing going to penetrate denim? You know, the only really thing that's going to be much thicker would be leather, or multiple layers, maybe a big sweatshirt or something like that, or a nice Carhartt jacket, canvas, something like that. But typically, you know, denim is a good indicator of how well a knife is gonna react to clothing. And this knife, I mean, it reacts pretty well. So you can see puncture straight through, slicing motions. This is gonna kind of hard to do to show on camera the right way. But slicing motions, stab and drag type movements. You know, a lot of these. So I mean, it makes quick work of denim. Just, you know, easily able to stab or even slice in a lot of cases. There's a double layer in the pocket. I mean, just super easy cutting it open. So in a self-defense situation, you know, is it going to be something that's reliable? Yeah, definitely. So there you have it, folks, the CRKT Homefront. I know I didn't do any really heavy lifting with it today, but still, I think it's a pretty solid knife. I've been using it as my EDC for 2 to 3 weeks now, pretty much every day, and it's done a great job. 90% of the time I don't even notice it in my pocket, which is awesome. And when I do need it, it's a pretty natural feel to it. Like I said, once you kind of practice the deployment without an assisted opening, which most of you are probably comfortable doing a little wrist flip, yeah, you know, you're gonna like this knife. I'm sure you'll appreciate it. The MSRP on this knife is $150, but you can find it right now from Amazon for like $83. If you're a Prime member, I will go ahead and put a link in the description to a spot where you can purchase it. I'll also put a link in the description to CRKT's website, and you know, you can do a little bit of research on the Homefront, and if you want it, head over to Amazon or wherever your preferred retailer is. That link down in the description below, you can buy it straight from there. Like I said before, I'm pretty happy with this knife. I'm pretty stoked I got it in my most recent battle box. Originally I thought the field strip technology was kind of a novelty, but the more I use it every day, the more I appreciate how easy it is to disassemble, to clean, and you know, all of those types of features that come with being able to take it apart on the fly in 5 to 10 seconds and then reassemble in about the same amount of time. That wraps it up for me, everybody. If you liked the video, please click that thumbs up button. Take a look around at some of my other videos. If you like them, you might as well subscribe. If you have any comments, feel free to comment down below, and I will do my best to answer those. And as always, thanks for getting out west with Chris.